Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 35 in the book of Ephesians. Today's title is Submission is a Beautiful Thing. And we've been in a very practical section, and today we're going to talk about marriage and submission. We're going to understand, first of all, that the marriage requirements for a husband are terrifying in a perfect marriage, and are even worse than that in an imperfect marriage. And conversely, we're going to see that the marriage requirements for a wife are terrifying in a perfect marriage and are even worse than that or harder than that in an imperfect marriage. If you want to study that, go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7 and spend a little time there. Yesterday we talked about that submission will never work unless we understand that it is done in view of the Lord. It's done in the sight of God. These various words that are used that are tied to submission. It's done for the Lord's sake. It's done out of reverence of Christ. It's done as you would to Christ. It's done hoping in God. It's done as to the Lord. So submission has kind of two parts. One is to a person, the other is to God. So we find in the Bible, workers are submitting, citizens are submitting, church members are submitting, pastors are submitting, wives are submitting, children are submitting. Sort of everybody gets to submit. So here's the passage today. This is about wives specifically. Husbands, come back tomorrow. There'll be plenty for you. Trust me. Here it is. This is Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22. Wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, his body, and is himself its Savior. Verse 24. Now, as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit in everything to their husbands. So we see that submission is a beautiful thing, and it demonstrates an imperishable beauty of an internal adornment of a position under God. It's a posture before him that is demonstrated in external words and attitudes and behavior to a real person. And submitters are the most beautiful people in the world. And submitters are seen by God. And submitters are precious to God. And submitters have God's value and admiration and appreciation. So if you bristle about submission, then let me, as the podcaster guy, take full responsibility. Let me take the fall, at least for starters. Number one, I'm thinking of three reasons that we can bristle at this topic. Number one is that I've done a poor job in teaching the concept. So consider blaming me first off. The second one is, okay, no, I haven't done a bad job. You've done a poor job in seeking to understand the concept. Or the third one, which is the most concerning, is that the teaching of the concept is right, and it's all explained. And secondly, that you understand it. You could even teach it back to me or teach it to somebody else. And you understand that it's primarily a submission to the Lord, but still you want no part of it. And my charge or plea would be, don't be that person. I implore you. I would ask, is God trustworthy? And is the Lord worthy of this doctrine? So we've gone through 1,075 or so episodes in 7-minute segments. And I would ask has the Bible been found trustworthy 1,075 times so far in this podcast series? And I think the answer is yes. How many times? I think 1,075. So let's give God the space for this. Let's ask, Lord, help me understand this and help me do it and help me make room in my heart for this. Help me make room in the sight of God for this. So what is submission? Submission is the voluntary relational attaching of myself under a designated person and under God. Submission is the voluntary, relational attaching of myself under a designated person and under God. So if we fly up to the 40,000-foot view, Paul is talking to the Ephesians here as I am talking about unity on this planet and the relational unity of joining all people and all races and all tribes and all ethnicities and all histories and all previous religions. They're being unified under the Lord. So wives are part of this, clearly. So wives, submit to your husband as to the Lord. Now, here's kind of the bad news, is submitting to your husbands, the first part of this will never work perfectly. Wives, submit to your husbands. Why will it never work perfectly? Because the husband's part are not perfect. So the first part about wives submit to your husbands, it's not wives submit to your perfect husbands, because that will never, ever happen. So think about the second part, though. Wives, submit to your husbands as to the Lord. The second part of this will always work perfectly. So though the first is imperfect, the second part will work perfectly. So the question is, will you allow your husband to be responsible for you in some ways? Will you allow your God to be responsible for you? The summons is to show in relational practice what's true in spiritual reality. So is this a high call? Absolutely. Is this the hard call? Absolutely. And maybe is this the hardest call for some people? Yes. So let me just end with a word of caution. I am not calling you to abuse. I am not calling you to violence. I'm not calling you to the exceptions in this. What I am calling you is to an imperfect husband, because that's universal. And I am calling you to a perfect God. And I am calling you to be pleasing to him, because submission is a beautiful thing. It's given primarily to God, and it's also given from wives to husbands. So let's put ourselves before this beautiful doctrine of submission today. Thank you for listening.